their corner room's really thick, as you said. I mean, I don't know why I said thick.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the 2-Minute Warning Podcast. Today, we're here to give you our final version of the 2025 NFL Mock Draft. We have the draft coming up in just 2 days. It's on Thursday. We're super excited, but we're here to give you our last version of what exactly we think is going to go down in the mock draft. Just like last time, we are going to be doing one of us doing odds, one of us doing evens. McKay's going to do odds today. I'm going to do evens for this last version of it. And let's just get started right away with McKay's first overall pick to the Tennessee Titans. Who you got?
It's pretty obviously going to be Cam Ward. I mean, every mock draft that's serious, it's definitely going to be picking Cam Ward. He's easily the best quarterback prospect in this draft class, and the Titans really need a quarterback. And with quarterback just being pushed up a lot higher than other positions, even though there's other better players still on the board, I definitely don't see the Titans going any other direction.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that Cam Ward's a little bit overrated as a prospect. I don't think he's a bad prospect by any means, but I don't think he's worth the number one overall pick. But again, this is not what we would do. This is what we think is going to happen. It's so obvious to me that Cam Ward's going number one. They're canceling visits with people. They're in love with the guy at his pro day. Like, it's so obvious that he's going number one. And so that was a little bit of a gimme. Hey guys, we would just like to take a moment to ask you to subscribe, maybe like the video, leave a comment down below. We're trying to build a community out here, and we'll respond to all the comments. Let us know what you think is going to go on in the NFL draft. We're trying to turn this podcast dream into a reality, and we could really use your guys' help. Subscribing's free, liking the video is free, and you can always change your mind later. We'd really appreciate it, but let's get back into the video.
All right, and who do you have the Browns taking with the second pick?
I have them taking Travis Hunter. I don't know if it's honestly the best fit. I've seen a lot of people talking about how amazing of a fit it is, and it is when it comes to the wide receiver sense. But they have a really good cornerback room. I think it's really underrated. Denzel Ward, Martin Emerson. I mean, they have a great cornerback room up there, and I just think that getting an all-pro, what you hope is an all-pro corner one day, doesn't really make sense at 2 when you have so many big needs. But it just seems like that's what's going to happen. Schefter and all these other reporters are reporting that this just seems the most likely right now. And it's still not a bad pick. I mean, you get a really good player on two sides of the football, and, he really feels like he's going to be something special one day.
All right, and for the Browns, I'd prefer if they went edge just because their corner room's really deep. I mean, Greg Newsome has been rumored to be traded on draft day if they take Travis Hunter, if they wanted to play him at corner. They need another receiver next to Jerry Jeudy, so this is a decent fit, but obviously I think Abdul Carter might be slightly better of a player and definitely a better fit for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, I mean, they're both generational players, so you got to take one of them, it feels like, which kind of sucks for them because, they have a really amazing edge, and they have a really deep cornerback room, so it's like they're kind of stuck in this spot. But I think that edge is a bigger need because you can play him on the other side where you don't have a good player. Corner, you got to replace a good player, so definitely a rough spot for them.
All right, and with the third pick, I'm definitely going to have to take Abdul Carter, the last blue chip player at a really valuable position. I've heard rumors that Kayvon Thibodeau is also a player who could be traded on draft day if this ends up happening. They obviously don't want to end up paying him when they're going to have Abdul Carter, and they've already paid Brian Burns, so they're kind of stuck with him, even though he's not that good. So I'd really like for them to draft Abdul Carter here. I don't really see a world where they don't, but if they didn't, Patriots would really like that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, everyone's been talking about, the possibility of Shedeur Sanders going to the Giants for, the last 2 months or so. That's really died down in the last few weeks or so, but it would be a generational fumble, in my opinion, if they were to do that. And I think that the Giants aren't looking to do that because I think, like we talked about in multiple videos before, Daboll and the GM, I forget his name right now, but they're both got their job on the line this season. They got to win some games, and I think they're going for just a win now. Not really win now Super Bowl, obviously, but a win now. Let's try to win 8 to 10 games. If we can get anywhere near there, then hopefully we can save our jobs. So I think that they're going to go for Carter. He's a generational prospect. Get him in there, shore up the defense a little bit more. Their pass rushers have been underwhelming. While Thibodeau, however you say it, while he's had back-to-back 10-sack seasons, listening to Giants fans, watching Giants games, he doesn't really seem to make much of an impact. It just feels like he's kind of getting empty stats, which is very common with sacks. That's something like the most you see when it comes to empty stats. And then Brian Burns has just been a huge disappointment after trading for him from the Panthers. So while it feels like you could have two edges already, Abdul Carter would be far and away their best edge right away. So he could definitely help out that defense.
So who do you have the Patriots taking at number 4?
This is a bit of a weird pick for me because I think they're not going to go with my favorite option. My favorite option for them is actually Ashton Jeanty because Ashton Jeanty is, a generational prospect. We all know that, and a phenomenal running back. But the Patriots really didn't have any weapons for Drake May last season. We all know that. But while they also didn't have any weapons, they also didn't have an offensive line. I think it's very clearly going to go as one of those two options here. They spent a crap ton of money on defense this offseason. They brought in Mike Vrabel to shore up that defense. And I think they're definitely looking for offense in this draft. They need to protect their franchise quarterback. They need to get him weapons. But I don't think there's a better weapon in this draft than Ashton Jeanty. People don't talk about it enough, but having a good run game makes the quarterback look so much better. It makes the pass protection better too because the defense isn't just shortened on the pass. And I'm not the biggest fan of Ramondre Stevenson. Obviously, he has fumbling problems. He's not an amazing runner by any means. And Ashton Jeanty would really just give Drake May that weapon that he needs, to keep developing in the young days of his career. But I ended up going with Will Campbell here just because I think that's the pick they're going to make. Just a really good, solid offensive lineman out of LSU. He's been starting since his freshman year of college in the SEC, and he hasn't looked back. People are really upset about his short arms for whatever reason. I don't think that's a huge deal. If you're good at tackle, you're good at tackle. So I think that he's going to be a good player for them, and I think that, it's not a bad pick by any means. I'd rather them take Jeanty, which I know is a hot take, but I think Will Campbell is the pick, and I think it's not a bad pick because you start shoring up that offensive line for your franchise quarterback in Drake May.
I definitely think they need to take a lineman here. I mean, they kind of invested in that right side with Morgan Moses this offseason. Their left side is absolute garbage, and you're definitely going to get, even if Campbell doesn't work out at tackle, you're definitely going to get a good guard. So this is just a for sure building block on that offensive line, so this isn't that bad of a pick.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a bad pick, like I said. Even though it's a hot take, I think Jeanty would be a really, really good pick for them.
Okay, so at number 5, I had the Jaguars taking Mason Graham. I actually watched defensive lineman this past week, and I kind of liked him. I feel like pretty confident he'll be a Pro Bowler. I don't know if he'll be like a superstar necessarily, but I kind of like Walter Nolan better, but I don't think anybody's going to take him higher than Mason Graham. And the Jags have been linked to Mason Graham, so
for like months.
Yeah, months. So I just think this is a pick that they've had in mind for a while. And I think Ashton Jeanty could be a sneaky player here. I've seen him in multiple mocks, because Travis Etienne just hasn't been good the past few years, and now they're going to have to re-sign him soon. And Tank Bigsby's more of a number 2 back, so even though he was pretty efficient last season, he wasn't like breaking a lot of tackles or anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. It feels like Mason Graham's the pick, whether we want it to be or not. I don't think I've seen a mock where the Jags don't take Graham in like 2 or 3 weeks at this point. Like, it's just like, as the closer and closer we get, obviously everyone's like, oh, this is my final mock, or this is my second to final mock. And like, I feel like everyone just predicts them to take Mason Graham. Like you said, pretty confident he's going to be a Pro Bowl or just a big, nice guy to get in there and, be in the middle of your defensive line. And so I think that it's just an obvious pick, and I think it's the pick they're going to make. You said that they might take Jeanty. I don't even think they're considering him, I'm going to be honest. I know everyone's losing hope on Travis Etienne. I've never liked Travis Etienne. But even if they're losing hope in him, I think they probably have hope in Tank Bigsby, or they have hope in the two of them running like a combined backfield, and I think they'd rather assess other needs.
Yeah, I totally see that too. So who do you have the Raiders taking at 6?
This is another really weird one. I think this is my weirdest pick in the draft, actually, because I know everyone thinks they're going to take Ashton Jeanty. But I actually don't have them taking Ashton Jeanty. I think Ashton Jeanty is going to fall a little bit more than that. I think that they're not going to value running back as much as they should. And just with all of the signs pointing to this, I am going to make my hot take of the mock draft, or like the biggest surprise of the draft. I think they're going to take Jalen Milroe here.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, it's totally possible that he falls out of the first round, so it's crazy to say he's going to get picked at 6. But Jalen Milroe got invited to the draft. Everyone's like, why did he get invited to the draft? Like 2 days after that, it was a huge report. Raiders love Jalen Milroe. They're linked to Jalen Milroe. They've been doing private workouts with Jalen Milroe. They love him. And it's just, you cannot tell me it's not the most Raiders pick in the world to spend the 6th overall pick on Jalen Milroe and let him sit behind Geno Smith, which I just don't think would work at all. For those that don't know, I hate Jalen Milroe as a prospect. I just don't think he makes any sense. I think he has zero shot of being a good quarterback in this league. No hate to Jalen Milroe or anything, but I don't think he's going to be a good quarterback in this league. Taking him at 6 would make me so happy as a Broncos fan because one, Gentry's falling and the Broncos might trade up, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and two, they're getting a bad quarterback and wasting the 6th overall pick. So it would make me super, super happy, and it might not be the most expected thing to happen. It definitely is it, but maybe not the most possible even. But I wanted to throw one curveball in here at least because we all know there's going to be a surprise. It's never the way we always expect it to go. There's always one big surprise minimum in the draft. Last year it was Michael Penix, was huge surprise. And so maybe this year we're going to have something very similar to Michael Penix, and Jalen Milroe is going to go number 6.
I mean, everybody who watched our quarterback ranking episode knows we both disagree very heavily with each other on Jalen Milroe. I have him as my QB2, but I'm kind of at consensus right now. He's like probably, if I was making a big board, like my 65th overall player or something like that. And I just don't think this quarterback class is very strong, and I definitely wouldn't be considering him at 6. But I just think Genty would be such a better ad. I think what they should do, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, is they should just call the Bears and be like, we're taking Genty if you don't trade up with us, and then demand a ridiculous amount. I mean, the Bears, if I've heard a lot of things about them really, really liking Genty and wanting to trade up for him, doing a lot of stuff to do that. So I think that would be a good move for them rather than taking Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. It's obviously an amazing move. I don't know if the Bears would bite on that necessarily. They might just settle for a guy like Amari Hampton or Walter Nolan or whatever it may be. But, I mean, that would definitely be the right move for them. I just, knowing the Raiders, they don't tend to make the right moves very often. And I really hope that continues to be the case because that would make me very happy as a Broncos fan.
All right, and for me, at number 7 for the Jets, I think the player, I'd be pretty shocked if they didn't pick Armand Membu. Just because with the move of Olufashanu to left tackle, seeming like they're looking for a right tackle, and Membu's the best right tackle in the class. You don't even have to move him sides, which a lot of teams that need tackles are considering doing for Membu. And I know they are linked to Tyler Warren a little bit, but do you really need a tight end as much as a franchise tackle? This would be one of the best lines in football if they got Membu and he ended up working out. I mean, they're so deep on that line. They have so many good starters. Just no weak spot on that offensive line. So I think that'd be a crazy pick for the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, they really, really freaking need a tight end. Really bad. I mean, their tight ends are awful, and so I think taking a tight end would also make sense here. But, they definitely need a right tackle. Membu's an amazing prospect with a super, super high ceiling. Makes total sense here. And if they didn't take Warren or Membu here, I'd be extremely, extremely shocked.
You really think they should take Warren even after you're a huge Stone Smart guy?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm a huge Stone Smart guy. I think he's a little underrated, but I don't think he's the number 1 tight end by any means, and especially not right now. And I don't think that. I think that I'm not saying that they should take Tyler Warren. I think Membu would probably be even a better pick. I don't think tight end should ever go that high, if I'm being completely honest, unless you maybe get like a Brock Bowers, but even then it's questionable to me if you should take him that high. But if you can get a franchise right tackle, that is way more valuable than a franchise tight end, like just straight up. And so I think it's probably a better pick, but I'm just saying if it's not one of those two players, I'm going to be flabbergasted.
What if they take Genty? I've heard that a lot. I don't know if you
really
have.
Oh, because they might trade Brees. I actually have
been a
heard
huge
that.
rumor.
Yeah, I think that would be kind of weird. Brees did have a down year this year, but the whole Jets team had a down year this year. They were really just trying to figure everything out. And I think that Brees showed what he can do 2 years ago. He was an amazing running back. I think I had him in my top 5 after that season. Obviously,
definitely.
Obviously dropped a ton this year, but I mean, we've seen the potential at such a young age. And I don't want to hold him to the standard of, he just sucks now. Just because of this one season that was already so weird for the entire team all around. That really started bouncing back towards the end of the year, with Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams popping off and everything. So. I think that he'll be better this year. Whether he gets back to that 2 year ago level remains to be seen. But I think that he is going to be better this year. So I don't think they should move off him yet, and I don't think they will. And I just think when you can get a franchise right tackle or a franchise tight end, which are two huge needs right now, you don't move off of a guy that you're like, oh, well, he was really good for us 2 years ago and he's 24 or whatever he is. And you don't just move off that to just take Genty. So I don't think that that's what's going to happen.
I know we've been on the Jets for a bit, but I just have one more question.
Yeah.
With your team needing a running back, let's say they take Ashton Genty, what round pick would you trade for Brees?
For Brees, I don't know, probably a fourth, maybe a
fourth,
maybe a third. Yeah, probably a third. I don't think they'd ask for more than that for a running back that just came off a really down year, but I mean, for the Broncos, that's a huge upgrade. I mean, we have nobody right now. I'd really take any running back. Even running backs I hate, I think would be a huge upgrade over what we have right now. I mean, we were talking about this the other day. The Broncos, sorry, I will get off the Broncos as fast as I can, but the Broncos had the number one run block win rate last season, and we couldn't run the ball. Like, we haven't had a 100-yard rusher in the last 2 years. Like, that's insane.
Sad.
That's insane. And so that's clearly on the freaking running backs. You have the best run blocking line in the entire league, and you can't get 100 yards. In any game, we need a running back so unbelievably bad, but we'll talk about that more later.
Okay. So who'd you have the Panthers taking at 8?
At 8, this is a weird one because I actually think that the Panthers are going to trade down. The Broncos are a big candidate for that right now. Been leaked to try to trade up for Genty if he's there. Obviously, he might not be here. We've talked about like 4 teams that could take him already at this point. So who knows if he'll even make this there. But even if the Broncos don't trade up, I think they're going to try to find a way to trade down because I don't think they want to take any player at this pick. I actually think, obviously they're being linked to Jalen Walker a lot right now. But they're also being linked to Tetairoa McMillan a lot right now, and I think they can get him a little bit later. So if they really do like Tetairoa McMillan a lot, I could see them trying to trade down and grab him a little bit later for a little bit cheaper and just grab some extra draft capital. But I do have them just obviously we're not doing any trades in this mock draft, so I just had them taking Jalen Walker here. I think it's a little too high for Tet, and I just think Jalen Walker is an amazing player that can fit right into that defense. He fits right into that scheme, and I just think that. That's a player that they're probably going to be looking for, fitting into that Frankie Louvu role for Avero, and he can play that perfect 3-4 linebacker role when we know he loves running 3-4, learning it from the Denver Broncos a couple years ago and Vic Fangio and Nathaniel Hackett. And so, I think that would be a really good pick for them. I think they need to address offense really bad, especially the weapon side of it, so it'd be better if they traded down and grabbed a receiver. But like I said, since we're not doing trades, if they stick and pick, I think this is the player they're going to go with.
I think this is kind of insane for Jalen Walker, in my opinion. He hasn't even played like true edge rusher in college. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
why
but he'd be
people
playing
aren't
like a
talking about it.
mixed.
Yeah, but most people are projecting him as an edge mostly. So, and he's a guy who played off-ball linebacker in college and then like blitzed, sometimes played edge rusher, but like I don't know if you take that at 8. I think Tet would be a better pick here. It definitely fits the big body number 1 that Bryce Young needs, but also they definitely need to shore up this defense. It was so bad last season.
I think it's super fair to say that Tet would be a better pick, especially since this feels like a make or break year for Bryce Young. He really needs to prove himself this year. People like yourself and a lot of other people right now all believe, Bryce Young did take a step forward this year. I'm not one of those believers, but there are a lot of people that believe that.
I mean, he did. Factually, he did.
Okay, I mean, statistically,
he did.
It was bad still. Like, it was really bad statistically still. But my point is, whether you believe that he took a step forward or not, I think he needs to take another step or the first step forward this year to prove himself. Otherwise, I think they're going to try to move on from him. Look in a different direction. And I think that proves that, we've given you 3 years. We have to move on. It was just not working. It's a bust. So, but to give him that year make or break year, you have to give him a fair chance, which means you need a number 1 receiver. So I think it's definitely fair to say that. I just think it's too high for Tet. So I think they should trade down if they're going to grab him.
Yeah. So with number 9, the Saints, I've seen so many reports the last couple days that have swayed me away from Shedeur, who they seem to not want. Maybe it's just smoke, but where there's smoke, there's fire, And Jackson Dart was also invited to the draft, and I don't really see why. I think this rise just came completely months after anybody played football, so it doesn't make any sense to me because everybody watched the film after the college football season, then randomly move him up. I just don't get it.
Well, the rise was after the bowl game.
The bowl game?
Yeah, his bowl game. After, I forget who they played, but after his bowl game, that's when the rise came up. Or or maybe it was against Duke. It was a game near the end of a season. That's when the riots started happening, and then more people watched that game.
He was like the third round guy that people were like, "Ooh, this guy could sneak in." But like recently, it's been like everybody's has him in the first round.
Yeah,
like, that's it.
I think he should be a second rounder. I really think you overhate on Jackson Dart. I think he's a good prospect. Are you saying you taking Jackson Dart here?
I'm taking Jackson Dart. I just think that's what's going to happen.
I think that's crazy because I think as a guy who likes Dart, I think 9's way too high. What I would love to see if I was in if Jackson Dart was in a perfect world, I think his perfect situation is going to the Rams at 26, whatever it is.
Quarterback's perfect situation is that.
That's very fair to say. But Dart specifically, it just makes it would just make so much sense. And the Rams have been leaked to it recently. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I haven't.
But apparently, like they're thinking about it. Supposedly, like you said, there's a lot of smoke right now, though. But I mean, if he goes to the Saints, I don't see him being a good quarterback. I think this will be a terrible pick. It's too high. They have no way to develop him. He would probably have to start right away with Derek Carr going to be out most of the year, and he's just not ready to do that. It would make no sense to me. I think it'd be a terrible, terrible pick. But I also think Shedeur wouldn't be a good pick because I don't think he'd work out either. I just think the Saints are in such a bad situation that they're not going to be able to develop any quarterback. So they need to address other positions first, get out of this cap hell that they're in, stop spending money on players they don't need like Justin Reed and,
Chase Young,
18
million.
And so they just really need to move on, start a freaking rebuild instead of trying to keep like, oh, let's win now with Derek Carr.
I'd say like if they could trade back to next year with like a really bad team, I think that'd be a good idea. So if they had 2 first-round picks next year, they could use them to package to go up to like really high in the draft, or presumably they're gonna suck. They'll already be really high. They can take a quarterback, they could get him a receiver to pair with him, or like any other player. Get 2 core players next year to kickstart their rebuild. Because I think this class, like 10 through 25, like I think they're all kind of like similar in talent, like for how far apart they're gonna be taken.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fair. But I also think that the reason that they're leaked so much to take a quarterback is because I think it's a fair take to say you don't really want to roll into the year with Spencer Rattler playing the whole season or Jake Haener playing the whole season. So if he's even still on the roster, is he?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He probably is.
Yeah,
he had a like 5th-round pick contract.
Yeah, but either way, I just don't think you want to roll into the year with that. And especially as like an owner or a GM who's trying to sell tickets. Like, let's be honest here. It's not just about tanking. Like, you're trying to sell tickets and make sure the fans are still involved. And, there's a lot more that goes into it, on the business side of the NFL. And I just think that while it would be a bad pick in our eyes, I think it's what's going to happen.
Yeah. So who did you have the Bears taking at 10?
So since with the way the board has fallen, I think I'm obviously going to go Ashton Jeanty here. They're obsessed with him, like you were talking about earlier. And if he falls to them, they're easily going to take him. I think they might even try to trade up. I personally hope that the Broncos end up trading up and take him because that would make my draft night spectacular. But I just don't think that's what is in the cards. Obviously you can't be betting on a trade up. And I just think that the Bears, that would be a huge pickup for them. And Ben Johnson's offense, being able to run the football really, really well. This is a guy that is just a generational talent, can come in here and just be an amazing running back from day one. They short up that offensive line, so hopefully their run blocking is really good for him. You're hoping Caleb Williams takes a step forward. You're hoping the entire offense takes a step forward, the entire team. And so this just fills another hole on their team. DeAndre Swift is just not good. And so fills up another hole on their team and, really just puts them in another step to be off-season champs for the 3rd time in a row.
Yeah. I mean, they always win the offseason, do nothing with it. We'll see if they do that again. On paper, I don't see how that's possible unless Caleb doesn't take a step forward at all, which I guess is possible.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't be surprised by that at all.
Yeah, just because of what's happened with the Bears for the past few seasons, I wouldn't be surprised. But just on paper, their offense just looks so complete. They don't really have a hole, especially after you put Ashton Jeanty in there. But I still think they're going to disappoint so many people. I bet we're going to get close to the season. There's going to be some people who put them in the Super Bowl.
100%. Nick Wright's definitely going to do it, especially if they get Jeanty. Adam Rank's going to be like, winning the Super Bowl 40-10. So I
think he's predicted them to win the Super Bowl like the last 5 years.
I mean, it's just what's going to happen. People are going to be like, oh, sleeper pick. And then like everyone's pick. And they're going to be, who would have expected the Bears to go 5-12? And it's like, oh, I wonder. So, I mean, but I think that if Jeanty's there, they're 100% taking him.
So at 11, What we have been doing is taking edges, defensive linemen, and tackles. That's basically their biggest needs. And right now, there's not really a crazy tackle who's been on the board for. At this point, like last mock draft, we had Armand Membu fall here, so that was a slam dunk pick. But I'm actually going to go with a sleeper that I haven't really seen much of, Josh Simmons.
Yeah.
With his injury updates have been very positive. People are pushing him back up their draft boards. On film, people have said he's the best tackle in the class. I haven't watched tackles personally, but while I've been watching the edge rushers, I haven't really noticed anybody beating him. Like, normally when I see them beating a tackle of a really high-ranked team, I'm like, who the crap is this tackle? Is he any good? Because if he is, then that definitely helps that edge rusher. But, I mean, I didn't see him on any of those, so that's a really good sign, and people seem to speak really highly of him. And the only other tackle even close to this range is Kelvin Banks, who might be going a few picks later. But I just think Josh Simmons is a better prospect if the injury things end up working out for him.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's talking about how he looks so good on film, and then they're like, but I have him going at 27. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
I get that that was a big injury, but with all the injury reports saying that it's positive, I don't understand not pushing him up your board a little bit more. And I'm sure that's what NFL teams are doing. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if he fell. We've seen draft slips all the time due to a big injury in college or things like that. We see it a lot less recently, though, so I think that this makes a perfect sense. I think it'd be a really, really good pick for them, and I think that it is very, very possible. So Josh Simmons is definitely a great player, and hopefully he comes back fully healthy because I want to see what he can do in the NFL.
Yeah, so who do you have the Cowboys taking at 12?
I have the Cowboys taking Omarion Hampton. I think it's too high for him, but I mean, we've seen all the reports. This is going to be a Bijan Gibbs class. That's what they keep saying. People are going to get taken really, really high. People are really, really freaking high on Omarion Hampton, especially NFL scouts and stuff. I personally don't see it. I think he's about the 4th or 5th best running back in this class. I think he's more of a day 2 kind of guy. Day 2 kind of guy, yes. Like a 2nd round guy, maybe a 3rd round guy. Probably a 3rd round guy in my personal opinion. But I just don't see him taking him this high. Like, I don't get it, but the Cowboys have been attached to him. Him and Genty, obviously. Genty's not here anymore. I think that they want to take a running back. You don't want to roll into the season with Javonte Williams as your lead back. That sucks. Trust me, I know. And I just think that Jerry Jones doesn't like taking boring positions. So he wants to take a running back really bad, whether Genty's there or not. I would not be surprised at all if this pick happened, but I would be very happy because it would save the Broncos from reaching on him. On a player I think is just super overrated right now. While he can be a great player, again, he's just overrated for where he's going right now. But I think that the Cowboys definitely might take him, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, I don't know if Jerry Jones is as interested in taking the fun positions as we think. Maybe he wants to do it this year because his team sucked last year, so he wants to get some engagement. But like last season, they took Tyler Guyton, who sucked. He plays tackle.
Yeah.
The year before that, they took Mozzie Smith, who I don't know if he's going to be in the league in a few years. He's played so bad for them. And the only other pick I could see here is Tetro McMillan to pair up with CeeDee Lamb. They don't really have another number 2 receiver, so I could really see that as a potential fit. So at 13 with the Dolphins, I have them taking Kelvin Banks. I mean, they could obviously go safety here. Their best safety is Ife Malifonwu, who I like, but
you can't have that be your best.
Yeah, I'd like him as a 3rd safety a lot, but starting as your best safety, that's kind of crazy. Malachi Starks is a great prospect, but that offensive line, how bad it is, just isn't talked about enough. They're just assuming Patrick Paul's going to slide in at left tackle, which he was a 2nd-round pick last season and didn't really play well last year. But outside of that, Austin Jackson's been terrible for them, and their whole offensive line just needs so much help, and Banks is definitely going to fill one of those positions. I'd probably say he's going to fill right tackle, and then you can kick Austin Jackson into guard so Liam Eichenberg doesn't have to start. He's like one of the worst players in the NFL. So I definitely think that if him or Josh Simmons is there, that'd be a great pick for them.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I mean, obviously Malachi Starks is the most mocked player of the Dolphins right now, but I think that Kelvin Banks is a great player, and they obviously need tackle right now, so it would be a really good pick. You got to protect Tua from CTE right now, so that's got to be a top priority. And so maybe
I think he already has CTE.
So I think that they're definitely going to be looking for tackle in the draft. It depends who's there. Maybe they don't like Banks. Maybe they're looking for Simmons. But I think that it makes perfect sense. And I think honestly, I'd expect it more of in safety at this point. But I wouldn't be mad at a Malachi Starks pick either because he's a phenomenal player at a big need right now, like you said.
So who do you have the Colts taking here at 14?
I think this is super obvious based on the way the board's fallen. It's got to be Tyler Warren here. I mean, who's their best tight end right now? Mo Alley Cox. Do you really want Mo Alley Cox to be your tight end?
They wanted that for like the past 5 years.
Especially since, Anthony Richardson is only 22. They believe in him. I don't, but, they believe in him still, I think, I hope. But if you're going to believe in your young tight or a quarterback that is just super inaccurate, but supposedly has a really high ceiling still, then you need a tight end so they can check it down or throw a safety blanket or throw a first down, every once in a while. While he's got a good receiving core, he really needs that safety blanket. Any rookie young player just really appreciates that as a quarterback. Young players target the tight ends is like a thing, but I just think it makes perfect sense. You get a huge need filled, arguably, if not guaranteed, to be the biggest need on your entire roster right now because holy crap, that hole is big. And you get an amazing prospect in Tyler Warren. He's so phenomenal. He can do so many things. He can throw the football if you want to. He might be better than Anthony Richardson. So I just think that it makes a lot of sense. And I would be shocked. If Tyler Warren is there and they don't take him, I would be shocked. Like probably the biggest shock in the draft.
That might even be more shocking than Jalen Milroe.
Oh, yeah, for real. Like if they
crazy.
didn't take him. It just depends if he's there. Because, someone like the Jets could take him instead of Membu or... that might actually be it. I would be surprised if more teams took him. So,
I have seen them reports about them liking Loveland. It's a bit early for Loveland, in my opinion, but there is a chance they could go him, especially if Tyler Warren isn't on the board. So at 15, I got the Falcons taking Mike Green. We had this in our last mock draft. He's just a pretty solid pass rusher. I could see him being a really good player. He had 17 sacks last season. He did play at Marshall, so who knows if those are real sacks. I watched them, and he did play really well against, I think it was Ohio State. So against real competition, he does play well. I think this is a bit early for him, but definitely the Falcons finally need to invest an edge rusher. They haven't been doing that the past few seasons, and Matthew Judon has not worked out at all.
Yeah, I mean, Matthew Judon sucked for them. They, just keep, they're going to draft defense. And then they're like Bijan, and then they're like Michael Penix, and then
Kyle Pitts, Drake London.
So it's they really like offense, but at this point, you've got enough offense. Let's go for the defense. I actually like Mike Green as a prospect. The 17 sacks are worrying. I think that's a little not worrying, sorry, but it's a number you don't want to look at completely, like you said, because he plays in the MAC. But the ability to play against good competition is what's important, and he showed that. He's got elite pass rush moves, and I think that's amazing for a prospect coming out of college. He's not as athletic as some of these other guys, even like a Shamar Stewart or a Michael Williams or anything like that. But I think that he's way more advanced when it comes to his pass rush skills as of right now. And for a team that just really needs pass rush, not even just pass rush, but D-line help in general. I mean, they don't have anyone on that entire D-line. Grady Jarrett's gone now, which was their only player last season. So I think that, I would even support a pick of just taking an interior D lineman like a Walter Nolan here. I think would be a really good pick if he's available, which he is on our board. So if they were able to take him, that's a great pick for them. But I just think that this makes the most sense. They've been linked to Mike Green for a month, it feels like at this point. So it just feels like a good pick and the pick that they're going to be making.
Yeah. So who do you have the Cardinals taking at 16?
For the Cardinals here, I went with Will Johnson. I think that I don't understand why he's sliding. He's a phenomenal prospect. I understand he was hurt this year, and that translated to having a bit of a down year. Dude didn't allow a touchdown still. Didn't allow a touchdown the year before when he was completely healthy and was by far the most elite prospect or corner in college football. He's an amazing corner, locked down on everyone that he goes up against. I just don't completely understand why he's falling. His injury wasn't even that bad, so I don't really completely get it, but... phenomenal prospect. They really could use some corner help. Garrett Williams was good in the slot last year, but besides that, it's they could really use some corner help, especially on the outside. So Will Johnson would just be a perfect fit for them. I'd love Jonathan Gannon to get in there and kind of develop him. We'll have to see how that goes if they pick him, but I just think it's a perfect match for them. It shores up a need, gets that defense to continue developing, and you stay young. And you let Jonathan Gannon take one more year at this, and the Cardinals could be a sleeper playoff team this season.
Yeah, I do kind of like some of their young pieces they have at corner. who they just barely drafted, Max Melton in the second round. I thought he was going to be good. He hasn't been to this point, but they do need 2 outside corners. So they also drafted Elijah Jones, who's got some upside there. So if they drafted Will Johnson, I think their corner room could definitely go from one of the worst to top half the league. I really like Will Johnson. He's super lanky, very athletic. Just a prototypical build for like a lockdown number 1 corner. So I also don't understand why he's falling. So at 17, I got the Bengals. They obviously just need trench help. Defensive line, offensive line, their weakest positions.
I mean, I'd argue the whole defense is their weakest position before their offensive line.
Their secondary isn't that bad,
in my
opinion.
Their safeties are pretty bad after losing Bates and stuff, but their corners could be worse.
Yeah, so they did sign TJ Slayton, who's going to be that run stopper for you, but he's not going to play on third down, which is why I have them taking Walter Nolan, who has a lot of upside to be a good pass rusher and can be every down player with his good run defense. He's a guy I hope the Packers end up taking if he's there, obviously. I think this would be a crazy pick for them. Last time we had them taking Kenneth Grant, which is a little bit redundant to TJ Slayton with him being like 330 pounds, able to stop the run. So I think Walter Nolan would be a much better pick for the Bengals here.
Yeah, I mean, if Walter Nolan's there and they don't take him, I think that'd be a fumble. Phenomenal player, moving up boards left and right. But I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he's not there. I mean, let's be honest. He could definitely go earlier. Jetty gets taken. I think the Bears probably can take a shot on Nolan. So, it just depends, how the board falls, just like always. But I think that if they can get their hands on a run stopper like Nolan, then, and a guy who can also rush the passer instead of just be a one-dimensional type of player, that'd be amazing for them and really start the rebuild of the defense because, man, that unit is bad. I mean, if you got to put up 50 points to win, you're not going to win games. It's just as simple as that.
So who do you have the Seahawks taking at 18?
For the Seahawks at 18, it's a weird pick for me because they really need interior offensive line help, but I just don't think they're going to go that route because they never do. Even rooting all the way back to when Russ was there, they just never did it. They didn't do it with Geno. And now that they have a quarterback that really struggles with it, this is the time to take it. I mean, Sam Darnold is terrible against the interior pass rush, but it's the Seahawks, so I'm predicting what's going to happen, not what they should do. And so in that case, I think if Malachi Starks is here, I think they're going to take him. Their safeties aren't anything special by any means.
I like Julian Love, but Kobe Bryant isn't that good.
I mean, if you get Malachi Starks, you're happy. He's a great prospect. He should probably go earlier than this. It's just really hard. Like you said, 10 to 25 is really similar in talent wise and stuff. So it's really hard to fit players in where you feel like they should go when you start doing the actual mock draft because it's like there's just so many players and team needs are so weird in this draft. I feel like the top of the board is like falling because this team needs this and this team. Like it's just weird draft in general. So I could totally see Malachi Starks falling here. And if he does, I think they would take him. He's a great prospect for them. Just the perfect safety that you would want coming out of a draft. And I think that, like you said, Kobe Bryant is not good. So I think he would just fill a need. And it's hard to pass up on a great player filling a need.
Yeah, definitely. I really like Malachi Starks. Has a very high floor. Similar to Mason Graham, where I feel pretty confident he'll be a Pro Bowler. And Julian Love's been a Pro Bowler, I think, back-to-back seasons with the Seahawks. So they'd be one of the better safety tandems in the NFL. And obviously, you said they need interior offensive line. If Kelvin Banks is here, I think that's a conversation. But with how the board fell, definitely Starks is the best pick here.
Yeah.
So at number 19, the Buccaneers, after losing KJ Britt, who wasn't that good in the first place, and the aging Levante David, they need a new linebacker. And I know they normally don't draft those very high, but Jahad Campbell's a really good prospect. I watched a little bit of linebackers. He was pretty good, and no one else was good. Like, I hate this linebacker class. My next guy up might be Demetrius Knight out of I forgot where he went to school. That's so embarrassing. But this class is so bad. There's not another linebacker I'd take until like round 3. Maybe Nick Warrior I'd have round 2 as a linebacker.
Yeah.
He'd probably be my linebacker too, honestly. So with how thin this linebacker class is, they need a linebacker. And I think the values here, I think he's basically locked to go 19. I don't see any teams above them taking him. And
I don't see him getting past.
Yeah, him getting past the Buccaneers would be kind of weird, so...
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Levante David's aging. I think he's like, what, 37 now?
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy that he's still playing at such a high level at that age. Shout out to him. But I just think that this is the perfect year to take that replacement linebacker. You know, you need a second one, obviously. But when you're taking a second of something, that's not usually your top priority. But I think in this case, it's more of a priority because you're probably losing David next year or maybe the year after at the latest. You know, he's going to retire. And you get a year of, you know, mentoring from David. And I think that's kind of undervalued. You know, having a great linebacker like that, mentor a guy that's just like, you know, let me run all over the field and tackle as many people as I can, be athletic, be, you know, a good linebacker. And so I think he could really help him develop and just be an amazing linebacker one day. So I think it's just a perfect pick for the Bucs.
Yeah, definitely. So who'd you have your Denver Broncos taking at number 20?
So, like I said earlier, I'd really want us to trade up if possible. It's been leaked, so it's not really just like a fan, like, oh, this is super unrealistic. I want to trade this and this for the 8th pick. But, you know, it's actually leaked that we might trade up or try to get Genty. But assuming we don't trade up or Genty gets taken by the Raiders or whatever it may be, I know a lot of people are leaking us to Hampton. I know a lot of people are leaking us to Egbuka. But if I know anything about Sean Payton and George Patton, it's that they love to throw smoke screens. They love throwing, oh, we're drafting this guy. And then they like to brag about it for some reason. Like they think they're really cool. Oh, we said we were going to take J.J. McCarthy, but we tricked the Vikings. So
no, they wasted a 5th round pick.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that is like their thing is I think it's really cool. So I actually think they're going to go a route that no one is expecting. I'm going to give us Travion Henderson.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. Another reason I'm giving us Travion Henderson is because if we were in this situation, that's probably who I'd want the most. I know he's probably not supposed to go for a little bit longer, so I'd rather us honestly trade down and then take him. But again, we're not doing trades. And if we were to stick and pick, I still think he's the best option. He's a phenomenal running back. We both really like him. If you want to go check out our running back rankings, make sure you do that. But we both had him at number 2 as a little bit of a spoiler. And he, you know, he's a phenomenal pass blocker, definitely the best in the class. An amazing receiving back, super elusive, super quick, great vision. He's just great at everything. Great prospect coming out of the class. And so if the Broncos took that at our by far biggest need right now, that would be amazing. Obviously, Genty's number 1, but Henderson's my number 2, so that's who I would want us to take. And I really think that it's a good possibility as of right now.
I don't think it's that high of a possibility just because of how low Henderson's been mocked. Just middle to late 2nd round. But there really isn't that many other guys who I'd take here for the Broncos, honestly. The board felt really poorly. They've been linked to Colston Loveland lately, but with Evan Ingram, I don't really get that.
I would be so mad if we
he could
took
play
Loveland.
big slot for you, I guess. But like
that would be so dumb. We have Mims.
Yeah, I know, but Mims could move to the outside, be your deep threat. I don't know.
I wouldn't like that at all. I'd be really upset if we took Loveland.
I think you should take a tight end at some point, but definitely not in the
I think we
first
should
round.
take Arroyo in the later rounds. Or like, what, 3rd, I think is where he's going. That's who I would love. Could learn behind Ingram too, but I don't like Loveland is so different from Ingram in my opinion. Like not so different. They're both receiving tight ends, obviously, but I just feel like their play styles different. I don't know how much he'd learn from him, and I just don't think we need 2 big receiving tight ends. Like I'd rather obviously Arroyo's also a receiving tight end, but he'd be more learning. Like he's more of a project tight end. And Loveland, you want to start right away if you're taking him that high. So I don't want 2 tight ends to start. I'd rather get a running back that we need desperately or get a wide receiver even. You know, we really could use a number 1 wide receiver. Cortland Sutton's great, but he's a great number 2. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, Tet or Golden could go here if possible.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we took Tet either. But
if you took Tet, would you be happy about that?
I think so. I just don't expect him to be here, honestly.
He's been falling lately. It's not that unlikely. I've seen him go as late as 31 to the Chiefs. Wonder if people are like, let's hope he gets to the Chiefs so he can play with Mahomes. Yeah. That happens every year.
I don't know. I don't love Tet as a prospect, but I wouldn't be mad at it because at least we're filling a position of need. But obviously, I'd rather take a running back. I know we're also really, really linked to Egbuka too, but even as a Broncos fan, I think the Broncos pick is actually one of the most unguessable in the draft right now because there's just so many players we're linked to.
If Hampton's there, I think it's pretty guessable, honestly. But like if the board
I
falls
actually
this
don't think
way,
we're gonna take Hampton.
Really? So you think there's a higher chance you take Henderson and
all of
Hampton?
the Broncos insiders, and sorry, I know we're on the Broncos for a long time, but all the Broncos insiders and all of like Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, all those people, also insiders, they all have been reporting. These are the players the Broncos are interested in at 20. These are the players that they are in love with. These are the players they've been doing extra digging on. And I haven't Sorry, and I haven't seen Hampton on any of their lists, and it's like, why is no one reporting? I've seen people like
smoke screen.
Yeah, maybe, but I've seen people like Caleb Johnson on the lists.
Yeah.
Like they include a lot of people on those lists, and Hampton's not on any of them. So I don't know. I think Hampton, people are so caught up in liking him, and they're like, oh, he'd be a perfect fit for a team that needs a running back. But the Broncos don't actually like him that much. But that's just my take.
I think Hampton's just being pushed up by like groupthink, if that makes sense. I don't know. Just like everybody following the crowd. I don't really get it.
I agree.
But at number 21, I have the Steelers taking Shedeur Sanders. This is a very commonly mocked pick.
The slide stops.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people say that in the comments, like, why is Shedeur falling so much? You guys maybe get a bit more updated. Like, I've seen so many reports. These GMs or these scouts don't see him as a first-round prospect. And there's so many of those. I see them every day, new people saying that. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go in the first round. To me, he's more of a third-round prospect. I know it's a bit of a hot take, but he just didn't show me enough on film for me to be willing to take him in the first round. But for the Steelers, if they don't go the Rodgers route, this is clearly the best option for them to start this year, besides like Dillon Gabriel in this scenario, because obviously he's my fourth-ranked quarterback, and everybody else has been taken besides him and Gabriel on my quarterback rankings. But I don't think they'll go Gabriel.
Yeah.
But Rodgers, I think they told him that they'll wait till after the draft. Maybe it was a different team that said that, but maybe they're waiting to see if their guy's there, and if Shedeur's their guy, then I think they'll definitely take him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Shedeur's very overhyped right now, and I just do think there's people that just aren't updated because we've been posting a lot of mock drafts recently, especially on shorts and stuff, and it's just like at least once every mock draft. It's
definitely
and we don't have let's be transparent here. We don't have a ton of followers right now. You know, we're pretty new and stuff, and we're still getting at least one person being like, "Oh, why Shedeur so low?" And it's like, dude, this is like higher than some people have, and people have him outside the first round right now.
I think this is probably the most likely spot for him to end up.
It's him or the Saints, in my opinion. Or
I
them
also
and
could see someone trading into the first round, like the Browns. Let's say they want to pair him up with Travis Hunter, and he's
or
there.
the Giants come back to get him or something. I could see that.
Something like that, like trading up to the back end of the first round, because we do see that a lot.
That's something I'm most excited for. I actually think this draft's going to be really fun to watch because I feel like there's so many players that every team can take. And just like we're talking about, there's just so many ways the board can fall. But especially Shedeur, I'm really interested to see where he goes. I'd be really disappointed if he goes really early, like to the Giants, and then just like, oh, well, that's lame.
Well, he could go as early as 3, and he could make it out of the first round.
Yeah, which is just crazy. Yeah, for sure.
So who do you have the Chargers taking here at 22?
I think it's just the player we have to go with. I think we have to go with Tet here, purely because he's falling a lot, and the Chargers need a receiver. Ladd McConkey is incredible. Really good in the slots, particularly. But they really need a second target for Justin Herbert to throw the ball to. I mean, they downgraded at running backs. Now their run game's going to be worse. They have no second receiver. I mean, Quinn Johnston, really? That's your second receiver? Josh Palmer, maybe? You want to count him as your second receiver?
Josh Palmer is on the Bills.
Oh, that's right. I forgot he's not even on their team anymore. So they really don't have a second receiver. Last year, Josh Palmer was their second receiver, in my opinion. I think he was better than Johnston, and that's not. I mean, that's bad. You should have him be a second receiver. I really think it would just bring a new element to their team, and it really complements Ladd, in my opinion. Having a small, shifty guy and then having a huge guy that can, be a big body target for your quarterback. So I think it just makes sense if he's here. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm very not surprised if he's not here. But I think they're going to take a receiver, whether it's him, whether it's Ibuka, I don't think they take Burden. Already having a really good slot receiver and everything, but I would just be really shocked if they don't take a receiver.
Yeah, I'd say that the Egbuka fit makes more sense in my opinion, because I feel like he's a very good, high chance of working out as a number 2 receiver, and even though he's not that big like Tet, I think that might be a better pick slightly, even though I like Tet a lot better. I think Egbuka right now for me is like wide receiver 6 or 7, but for a pure fit for the Chargers, I think that'd be good.
Because you're looking for a number 2, right?
Yeah, you're not really looking for a number 1, which is kind of what Tet is. He's supposed to be this big-bodied, prototypical number 1 receiver. So
you could also try to find a receiver in the second round.
I really like the day 2 receivers,
especially if you're looking for number 2. But they have to take a receiver in the first couple rounds. They have to. Something while you're bringing Egbuka up that I've wanted to talk about for a little while. Something that I think doesn't go under the radar about him being a number 2. It's just like the fact that he was a number 1 for 2 years of college, and or sorry, not number one, but just being a focal point of the offense. And then, a freshman came in and took over, and was like the whole focal point of the offense, getting all the attention. And Ibuka didn't complain once, and like obviously that's not like a huge thing. That's not the biggest thing you're looking for, but it is something that you consider. Like you said, with him working out as number 2, that really helps because if you have a mindset like let's say Travis Hunter cannot be a number 2 because he'll make you hear like he will chew you out all the time. I'm the number 1. Give me all the targets. Like he's that type of receiver, which can work sometimes.
I wouldn't really say that about a prospect before we've seen that in the NFL.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that like you want the attitude that Ibuka has already showcased in college, and to have that in college is way harder than to have it when you're a mature adult. So I think that that's super valuable, and I mean that would not be a bad pick for the Chargers by any means.
I mean, he's used to being the Robin, so to speak.
Exactly.
He had Jeremiah Smith this past season, and then the year before that they had who was it? Oh, no, I'm blanking. They've had JSN there. They've had all these other players. And he's just always been the number 2 consistently as people came and gone. So, definitely just fits that number 2 receiver mold.
Marvin Harrison is who you're trying to think of.
That's so embarrassing. But, yeah, he's just always been that number 2. So, at 23, you kind of sniped me there with Tetro McMillan. The Packers need a number 1 receiver. And McMillan really fits what we need, especially with Christian Watson being our big receiver out for the whole season. I don't want us to extend him. I think we had to pay him after this season, which I don't think he wants that much money, hopefully. Like, why would he? He hasn't done anything. He's living off of his rookie season where he had 600 yards and, 8 touchdowns. So,
yeah.
To me, that doesn't make any sense. But James Pierce being here, I think, would be a great pick for the Packers. I don't know if they end up going that direction. I think if Walter Nolan's here, that's one of the players I want that I think they would want. So I think that'd be a crazy pick for us, but obviously he's not here. James Pierce definitely very refined in the pass rush game. I mean, as a run defender, it needs to work. He's pretty slender. He's 6'5", but only 240. So we haven't seen that body type work out a lot in the NFL. But on the film, he looks like my second favorite pass rusher in this class. And I mean, we had pass rushers going at 8, who I think he's better than. I think this would be crazy value.
Yeah, I mean, James Pierce is an amazing prospect. I actually really like him too, out of Tennessee. But yeah, I mean, it feels like he's going to fall this far. Every mock I see now has him falling this far. And it would be a great pick for the Packers. It's just, the Packers don't like using good first-round picks. They like taking guys like Shamar Stewart. So hopefully that happens because that makes me really happy.
You're so annoying.
But we'll have to wait and see, obviously. And James Pierce would be an amazing pick for them.
Yeah, and we need another pass rusher. A lot of people aren't talking about it as a need. I've seen us taking linemen. I saw mocks today.
Weird.
It's what?
Yeah, that'd
we
be a
had
waste.
a top 5 line in the NFL last season.
Top 3, in my opinion.
Yeah, easily. But I'm saying unarguably top 5 by people who actually care about football. And then we paid $20 million to a guard, which was our biggest weakness, right guard. But I mean, I don't think it was worth that much. But it's an upgrade.
But you don't need to spend more money and picks on them.
Yeah, we just invested a first-round pick last season. Hopefully Jordan Morgan's playing. Hopefully, but and then we spent $20 million the next season on an already good offensive line. Why would we draft a lineman? That makes no sense. And I really like the day 2 receivers. If we can get Trey Harris in the second round, I've seen him fall the third round. I think he has true number 1 receiver potential. So you just don't have those pass rushers down the board besides Braden Swinson, who I really like out of LSU.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it'd be a great pick for the Packers.
Okay, now with number 24 for the Vikings, who do you have them taking?
I have them taking a player that I think people are probably going to be confused why he's still on the board. Jahdae Barron here. He's a phenomenal corner out of Texas, been able to play in the slot and the outside. And I just think corner's a really big need for them right now. DB in general is a really big need for them right now. After losing Cam Bynum, their corners were already pretty bad last year, in my opinion. Stephon Gilmore was really old. I don't think
he was there last year.
Stephon Gilmore was last year.
You think so?
No, I know so, but I think that
I feel like it was.
He definitely was. You can look it up after this.
I think it was Shaq Griffin.
No, he might have been there too, but Gilmore was there. And so anyway, we're getting off topic. The point is that I just think their corners are really bad, and Jahdae Barron would just be a huge upgrade for them. Like I said, can play in the slot and the outside, and I think that that's valuable. I think that if he was here or Will Johnson was here, either one was able to fall this far, they'd be licking their lips because they'd be so excited that a player of that caliber at such a big need fell. Obviously, they're hoping for J.J. McCarthy to work out. They have all the pieces on offense. Obviously, their line needs to get a bit better, but, just they have a lot of pieces everywhere, but their secondary is really, really lacking right now. And taking Jahdae Barron, if he was able to fall this far, would be a huge W for them.
Yeah, definitely. I have been watching corners lately, and he's been a guy who has slightly underwhelmed about. I don't think the NFL is going to be quite as high on him as other people, especially PFF. I mean, they have him as like their 6th-ranked player or something like that. Maybe they moved him down. But as a zone corner who's 5'10", playing on the outside probably in the NFL, I don't understand why guys like Jacob Parrish are falling down the board. Very similar play style. He's probably not going to go till around 3 or 4. But I don't know why we're putting him so high as we're pushing other people down the board for the same reasons of them being short, having slot experience, these kinds of things. But he's definitely maybe the best zone corner in the draft. So obviously if they get him here, it's not that bad of a pick. And by most people's standards, I think it'd be a good pick.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be a great pick, honestly.
So at 25, I have the Texans taking Gray Zabel. They need to help that offensive line. Gray Zabel's been a guy who's been mocked to the Seahawks a lot. I don't think he'll go quite that high in the NFL draft, but definitely a good fit here for the Texans who just need any kind of lineman. He played tackle in college, so maybe you can give him a try at tackle. He's also supposed to kick inside at guard, so I mean, I like these kinds of players where you can find a spot for them. I mean, they have multiple chances to be a good player at multiple positions, so for a team that needs so many offensive linemen, I think this would be a good start for them rebuilding back that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they prefer for some linemen to fall down the board to them, which I've seen in a ton of mocks, even our last mock, which make sure you go check out that one as well before the draft. But even that mock, I think we had Kelvin Banks falling this far.
Josh Simmons.
One of the two. They might have both fallen, actually. I think
they both fell pretty far.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's definitely possible with how this board's shaping up, but obviously that's not what happened here. Gray Zabel's still a good prospect, though, and it doesn't matter how deep, like how far down the board linemen are. They're going to take one in the first round. It doesn't matter if they're reaching 4 rounds. Like, you just got rid of Laramie Tunsil after your line was bottom 3 in the NFL last season.
You think they should take a Cole Strange?
I mean, anyone can be better than what they have right now. So, I mean, at least you hope that. So, I think they're going to take a first-round lineman no matter what.
So, who do you have the Rams taking at 26?
I have the Rams taking Colston Loveland, which I think might be a bit of a weird one for most people. I don't think people are acknowledging the Rams tight end need as much as it is. I don't think Tyler Higbee's bad by any means, but just I think this team's making a Super Bowl push this year. The people that don't say that, I think, are kind of just blind to it. You know, they gave the Eagles a run for their money like they were 1 first down from being first and goal to win the game against the Eagles. And I feel like people are all forgetting about that.
No one else was even close.
No one was even close to the Eagles. I mean, they blew everyone else out the water. So it's just like, why are we not taking pain? And they got better. They got Devontae Adams this season, an insane receiving core now. Matthew Stafford's still a great quarterback. Their offensive line's okay. Their defense is young and hungry, and they're looking better and better. I think that taking a safety is not a bad idea here, but I think an even better idea is taking Colston Loveland to even make that offense just even more deadly. Pure receiving threat tight end for you, and just be able to have him be there with Matthew Stafford to teach him and guide him and help him develop. And, I think, like I said earlier, Jackson Dart would be an amazing pick for them because I think he can develop behind Stafford. Obviously, it's not a win-now move, but I think they're in win-now mode whether they draft for the future or draft right here, right now. But I think Loveland would help them get even closer to competing for a championship, and I really think that they're going to be one of my sleeper picks this year for a Super Bowl.
Definitely. I mean, this is a move that could help them even next year when they, or a couple years when they move on. Their next quarterback's going to then be in a great situation. I like their offensive line. They could use one more piece, but none of them fell. So they're taking the best player available here, at least on the offensive side of the ball, Colston Loveland. Him and Puka and Kyron Williams and a solid offensive line. Like, that's a great situation with Sean McVay. I think they should take a quarterback next year, personally, with that loaded class. So,
yeah.
And obviously, as you said, this is a great win-now move. You're not getting very many players who are helping you win this year at this point of the draft, at least at the level he is. Like, him, Starks, these guys that went later in the draft, those are the guys that, in my opinion, will help year one be at least a really good player.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay, so at number 27, Matthew Golden fell into the lap of the Ravens. My favorite receiver, besides Travis Hunter, he's able to get open at such a high level, ran so fast at the combine, that doesn't hurt you at all. I think we had this in our last mock. I've seen him falling a bit. Some people have him at receiver 1, some people have him at receiver 6. It's just like some people love him, some people don't. I don't know. He's just like one of the best separators in the class. He's super fast, can get open. I don't understand how he can fall down out of the first round at all. And the Ravens really need another guy. Moving Zay Flowers and him kind of swapping out in the slot, I think that'd be really good. Bateman's developed into a really good separator on the outside for them. So they just need that last piece on offense that could hopefully push them over and maybe even make a Super Bowl run finally.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. Lamar needs a receiver. Like, please just get the man some help, man. Like, he's proven he's got it. If you just got him a couple receivers, this team would be unstoppable. Matthew Golden's a great prospect. You brought up him being super fast. I do want to touch on that real fast. It feels weird watching the film on him because it's like, why does he look slower on the film? Obviously, that's what everyone's talking about right now. But also, I feel like, what's not being talked about enough, because I'm seeing a lot of hate towards him in the sense of, he didn't have a 100-yard game till the playoffs. Well, dude performed better in the playoffs, which is what you want, and he didn't get, like, a ton of targets till the playoffs. It wasn't really the number one option till the playoffs when they realized, oh, wait, this guy is better than Isaiah Bond. And on top of that, if you go back and actually watch the film, dude was having Quinn Ewers underthrow him and overthrow him so much. But Quinn Ewers sucks, man. Like, Golden might have had Golden might have had 500 more yards, and that's not an exaggeration. He might have had 500 more yards this year if Ewers just actually hit him, which is crazy to think about. I think Golden's a great prospect, and he fits on the Ravens perfectly.
So who do you have the Lions taking here at 28?
I have Ezra Raku going here to the Lions because they just need another edge. This team is stacked. I mean, there's no ifs, whats, or buts about it. I mean, this team is ridiculous. And I think that that's gonna their biggest need right now is just getting a second pass rusher outside of Aiden Hutchinson, and Ezra Raku I've seen going as high as top 15. So, I mean, if he falls this far, I think the Lions would snatch him. I think they're just going to take whoever the best edge available is. I think if James Pierce falls this far, that'd be insane for them. They'd be ridiculous. Obviously, they're my Super Bowl favorite going into the year this early. Super early Super Bowl favorite right now. So adding another, need, if Ezra Raku was able to work out, this team would just be unstoppable. So I think they're going to go with the best edge available.
I personally hope this happens. I don't like Ezra Raku as a prospect very much. I think there's a good chance the Packers take him just because of Jeff Hafley. He came from Boston College. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but they just need to get any kind of edge rushers next to him. They tried Zadarius Smith. It didn't work. I don't know if he's been signed yet, but a crazy prediction, he's going to go to the Bears. I wouldn't trust anybody. He just loves just bouncing around the NFC North, getting his revenge on his old teams who gave him money when he sucks. But definitely would like it if they took someone else here. Shamar Stewart, I think, is a better prospect. Personally, he has a lot more higher of a ceiling. Ezra Raku, I just don't think he's very good as a run defender, and his pass rush moves aren't as refined as I think people are talking about them. I could see him busting personally, so be a really good pick for the Lions in my opinion. Packers, but I don't know. They just need any kind of edge rusher next to Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So at 29, Commanders are another team that just need an edge rusher. Dante Fowler's gone now, so they need someone to replace him. They didn't have any other good pass rushers, so here I'm going to take Micah Williams, another guy I hope the Packers do not take. He's got a fine floor for being athletic. He's a good run defender right now, but you hope he develops that pass rush game a little bit. He's more of a second-round guy to me, though, so. But the Commanders, they don't have that many needs. They just went to the NFC Championship game, so.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. Got to pick up, your biggest need. I don't think they're in a situation where they're looking for best player available. I think they're looking for best of a certain position available, which in this case is edge. So I think this would be a great pick for the Commanders.
And at number 30, who do you have the Bills taking?
For the Bills, I was kind of looking at the roster, trying to decide, who do I want, and then I stumbled upon the name Damar Hamlin. And that reminded me, you never want DeMar Hamlin starting for your team if you're competing for a Super Bowl, especially if you're competing for a Super Bowl. So I ended up going with Nick Emmanwori here. I think if he was able to fall this far, this would be a sleeper, really good pick for them. He has a ton of upside just with how athletic he is. He might be the most athletic safety that's ever come out of the draft. Absolutely ridiculous freak athlete. He's big. He can play inside the box. He doesn't get beat vertically, and that's crazy for his size. Just a really, really good prospect in my opinion, and super, super athletic. So I think, obviously he doesn't play the same position. He plays strong instead of free with DeMar Hamlin, but you can find a way to make it work. Just get DeMar Hamlin off the field.
Taylor Rapp.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're starting safety.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, amazing story, whatever, but just get him off the field, man. Like, this is, in my opinion, their biggest need right now is safety. You could argue receiver as well, but safety is super underrated about how important it is and how big of a need it is for the Bills right now. So I ended up going with Nick Emmanwori.
For them, I mean, obviously Taylor Rapp and DeMar Hamlin, that might be one of the top 3 slowest safety duos. Last season, they spent a second-round pick on Cole Bishop, who hasn't really played. I liked him coming out, super athletic. That'd be such a change in athleticism in year to year for safeties for the Bills. I think he could develop into a good player next to Emmanwori, who he's a bit raw right now, but even if you have to trot Taylor Rapp back out there, or DeMar Hamlin, it's not the worst thing ever, at least for the first half of the season. They went to the championship game, I think, with those safeties, so they just don't have that many needs.
Yeah, for sure.
And at 31, I got the Chiefs. They don't have many needs either. They have a pretty complete roster, but they did just lose Trishawn Wharton, who had 8 sacks for them. He's broke out into a pretty decent player for the past couple seasons. I have them taking Kenneth Grant here, who's fallen a little bit. I think he'll fall in the NFL draft. I don't know how many teams are really high on him personally. Based on his limited pass rushing experience, more of just a run defender, just a big run defender. And the Chiefs definitely need to get another guy in there next to Chris Jones, who's getting a bit older, and they don't have anybody else on the roster who I'd feel comfortable starting.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick for them. Just getting a run stopper. Chris Jones is getting old, and Kenneth Grant's not really a pass rusher at all, so that doesn't really replace Chris Jones in that sense, but you've got a little bit of time to figure that out. Another guy that can get mentored by Chris Jones and maybe improve his pass rushing a little bit, but they could use some help in the run game for sure, so I think that would help.
And the final pick of the draft, who do you have the Eagles taking here at 32?
Well, for their last pick, I mean, obviously this team does not have a ton of holes. They lost a couple of defenders over the offseason, but this team's still ridiculous. An amazing team. Blew everybody else out the water like we were talking about earlier. But I ended up going with Shamar Stewart here. I actually hate Shamar Stewart as a prospect, but I think if there's any team that should justify taking him, it's the Eagles. He can sit behind a couple players and just learn for a little bit. Improve his pass rush ability because he's a hell of an athlete. But as we all know, he has not shown any sign of like using that athleticism necessarily. 1.5 sacks in back-to-back seasons. That's awful. But he's got a ton of potential because of that athleticism. So if he was able to tap into it, that'd be an amazing pick for them. And just another ridiculous pick for the Eagles on the defensive side of the ball. But I think it makes the most sense. If he's going to go anywhere in the first round, it should be to the Eagles.
Yeah, definitely. Over the past few seasons, they've developed little projects like Nolan Smith, who didn't play for his first 2 seasons, broke out in the playoffs, seems to be their best edge rusher, if I'm not missing anybody.
Maybe.
But Jalix Hunt is a guy who, I think he went to Houston Christian. They took him last season. He also broke out a bit in the playoffs. So they've shown ability to develop freak athletes over the past few seasons. Picking up Shamar Stewart when you don't need anybody is great. For the Packers, who are heavily mocked that, not great, where we need someone to start right now.
Exactly.
But yeah, Eagles, I think if I was grading that pick, it'd be like a B+, even though I'm not huge on Shamar Stewart.
Exactly. It just works. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that is our final mock draft of this season. Sad that it's coming to an end but exciting because the NFL draft is in just 2 days from when this video will be posted. Super, super, super excited for that. We will be posting all our reactions to some of the crazier picks, our own picks and stuff, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But we're super excited, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to our final mock draft. Let us know what you would change about the mock draft, what you disagreed with, and what your big hot take of who's going to go, a little too early or a little too late is down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe, like the video. We really, really would appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for watching.